So, and we've got a long night, so hopefully our other two candidates will get here and we can work them in as they come in. The bag of questions is over here. Deborah and Lisa will be looking at them, trying to get duplicates together so that we don't ask the same question 15 times. And also just making sure that we're following the rules. No attacks. What was the other one? There's another word going in there. But just to keep it nice and civil and focused on the issues at hand. That's the sole purpose. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. We're going to shut off the questions here in about 5 minutes. So if you want to get them in, please do so at that time, in that time frame. And we will go ahead and get started, I guess. We're going to start out with 3 minutes for each candidate to explain your platform. Is that the right term? Tell us why you're doing. Tell us who you are, why you want to be on the city council. Or yeah.
Can we start on that side to get my cough drop time to
Okay, we can go backwards.
I had it all.
Please.
My name's Russell Duckworth. My wife Carol and Sophie and I have lived here in Ladonia since 2019. Actually, our first night here was Thanksgiving Eve, 2019. You guys know the Christmas on the Square event. We were walking down to the square that year. We had heard there was something going on. We didn't know what to expect, and as we were walking down Plaza there, Jan Cooper was coming straight at us, and I thought, what is about to happen? I wasn't really quite sure what to expect, but we have made a lot of amazing friends in the last 3 or 4 years here. It's been my pleasure to be a part of the chamber group. A lot of good things happening here in Ladonia. Everybody's excited about the lake. Everybody's excited about their vision for the lake and the way it will improve our lives around here. Very excited to see projects like what Steve Taylor's involved with, and excited to participate and encourage that kind of development here. Also very aware of how important it is to preserve individuals' property rights and address those concerns on an individual basis as well as we can within the rules. That's one of the things that you'll hear me talk about a lot is as long as we're playing by the same rules, it's fair for everybody, right? And that's one of the things that you see me focused on very strongly in the council is making sure that we're following the rules. And so you may, if you attend a meeting, you may see me raise a question about procedures or rules or why we're doing things a certain way, and that's because I believe that if we don't follow the rules, we can't have a system that works for everybody. So I ask for your vote. I'm looking forward to asking and answering some questions this evening. So thank you all. Appreciate you.
Okay. Helen?
As you know, my name is Helen Judkins, and I'm not very good at talking about myself. Talk about everybody else. But now really, I want to be part of the solution. I've been in Ladonia all of my life. I've seen where it was, where it's been, and I hope to see where it's going. It's a lot of work still yet to be done in Ladonia, just in the inner city of Ladonia. And I'm concerned because I care about the people of Ladonia, and I value their opinions and what goes on in this town. We all have kids here, so I just want to see different things, clean up. It's a lot of work to be done in Ladonia. So that's where I stand.
Thank you. Dean?
Good evening, how everyone's doing. Like everybody else, I'm a little nervous as well. I don't expect to see this many people here. But like you said, my name is Dean Tennell. I know most of y'all see me riding around or pedaling around, but most of y'all know my wife, Dana Cuba. I've been in Ladonia probably 20 plus years also. I have 2 kids here as well, JoJo and Josh, who attends high school here. My reason for being here is I want to be on city council as well, because you see a lot of changes coming. Like I said, I've been here like 20 years, and you see the changes coming, but nobody knows what's going on. So then you have everybody talking outside the city council what's going on, but nobody has an idea why is it happening. So I want to be a part of that solution as well. I see it, and I'm gonna have input on it, and I feel like I can bring the communities together as well, you know, the ones who don't attend the meetings, like myself, you know, people who work, people have other things to do. But you know, once you leave the meeting, you get those phone calls, like what happened at the meeting, like, I don't know, it was a closed meeting. Or so, my goal is to work with the community as well, and try to bring that community together.
Thank you. Jan?
Jan Cooper, and privileged to run for city council again. I've served on city council for several years, and I also have served as mayor. Ladonia is my home, our home, and I'm excited about what's coming to our future and what it looks like. We've got a lot of work to do, and we can all work together and get things done. We can't do everything, but we can sure head that direction. It's been an honor to serve the community. There's a lot going on. Please, we like our citizens to be a part of what's happening in our town, so please, if you have an opportunity to volunteer and be a part of anything happening on our events or anything like that, please do so, because you're really missing out. We're, like I say, just looking to a bright future with the lake and everything else that will be coming. We've got our trail, we've got the fossil park, we've got so many people that come in and are looking here to make their homes here. So we need to make it a welcome and not only a better place for the residents who've been here forever, but for those that want to make it a home in the future.
Thank you, Jan. Deisha?
My name is Deisha Brookfield. I currently serve on the city council. We're doing lots of good things, I feel like, and trying to push forward. We do have some things that we need to work on. I wasn't expecting to give a speech, so I've got my mouth. Sorry about that. I would like to see Ladonia grow as far as being a growth in community-wise, maybe not people-wise, but an expansion of growing together, people growing together and helping people out, and different things like that. And I guess that's all. I just really can't think. But I appreciate y'all's vote.
We'll just start. You can pick them. Okay, so Deisha, we're going to start with you and go around this way, because I work that way, because I'll get confused if I don't. Okay. Are you working for Ladonia or for personal gain?
For Ladonia, I have no personal gain for Ladonia, most definitely.
This one's going to be a quick one. Then we'll go around with the second one while we're at it. Okay. Same for you, Jan. Are you working for Ladonia or for personal gain?
Well, if we work for Ladonia, for all the citizens, we're basically benefiting ourselves personally, so, you know, working for the city.
Dean, are you working for Ladonia or for personal gain?
I'll have to answer both. But Ladonia as well, because I am a Ladonian. I've been, like I said, been for 20 years. And personal gain myself, like I said, I would like to see the town come together as a group, as a whole, because right now I feel like it's segregated. And my personal gain was to bring everybody together and want everybody to be on one accord. So that would be a personal growth for myself.
Ellie?
Working for Ladonia.
Russell?
I have a really hard time seeing those as two different things. I think when we work as a community, we improve the situation for everybody individually and together. So,
Thank you.
For Ladonia.
Thank you all. And the second question was, are all candidates a citizen of Ladonia, and what are your interests?
go to.
And that goes to Jan first.
Okay, the first question was, am I a citizen? What?
Well, the second question is, are all candidates a citizen of Ladonia? So are you a citizen of Ladonia, and what are your interests?
We certainly am a citizen of Ladonia, as everyone I think in here, and my interest,
Yeah, what are your interests?
oh my goodness.
You only have 2 minutes.
Oh, I know, okay.
I think it's mainly what are you
Well-
interested in accomplishing?
Yeah, mainly, as everybody is, we have several years to work on cleaning up the city, the houses that need to be taken care of, the streets. But also, same thing, just bring our community together on, we have a lot of events that go on citywide, and to jump in and make things better for everybody to, come in as one. And like we have the great rodeo, we have, you name it, we got things here in the city to be very proud of.
Okay? Dean, so we can answer the first one. You have to be a citizen of Ladonia to be up here as a candidate. So that's checked legally. So we'll go to the second half of that
We'll do the
question.
same.
What are your interests?
My interest is also to see Ladonia grow. It's changing, so we know it's changing. So how do we change with it? Nobody likes change. So in order to be accepted or to step outside for coming in, we have to, first of all, know what's going on. So that's my objective, is to find out what's going on and to relate it back to the citizen that I know of. And if everybody would relate the feedback information to everybody they know, then we'll have an idea what's going on. Right now, I feel like everybody's like, they see it happening, they see you digging a hole out there, but how is it gonna affect us? So my interest is to, gain that information and use it to the best for Ladonia.
Thank you.
My interest is, I don't know how to put this. Things that attract you, you know what I'm trying to say, draws you to it, right? That's the way I feel about Ladonia. If we want to draw Ladonia to it, people to Ladonia, we got to clean it up. I mean, you look around, side of the roads need mowing, stuff need to be picked up. Everything in its place. And it will begin to look beautiful just by being clean. And that alone will draw people, and we will begin to watch it grow. But it's what we put in it, it's what we're going to get out of it.
Can agree with them. I have a hard time narrowing the focus of my interest because I want to participate with groups of people who are interested in accomplishing things that make it a better place for us to live. And so I'll give credit to Anita Akers for her work with Keep Ladonia Beautiful and the Trail. That's something that many of us on the chamber enjoy. A couple of times a year going out and picking up trash as a part of the cleanup. And I have a habit of mowing a little bit too much, according to my wife, when I get out on the mower. So I think there's a way that we can do this as a community, but it takes individual action in a lot of cases to affect change. And it's not enough for me just to take care of my property or to pay my tax bill. There's an individual piece that I'm responsible for and can take care of on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, but being willing to come together as a community and talk about what our vision is also an important interest that I have. And I have appreciated increased interactions in the council chambers, but it tends to wane. Around election time, the room fills up, and then after the election, it tends to dwindle just a little bit. So having folks come and participate and use that 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to express what your concerns are, especially if you don't see action taking place that you would like.
Okay. Want me to repeat it, Deisha?
No.
Okay, you're good.
I agree with everybody up here with what they've said about the interest in Ladonia. I'd like to see it built back up like whenever I was growing up. Everybody says that, but it really was a fun time, and it really seemed like it was booming. But the school as well, and if we can grow as a city and clean it up and entice people to come, then maybe our schools will grow, and that we would, could benefit from that as well. So I'd like to see it kind of twofold, the city, plus the school having more kids at school.
Thank you. Okay, so Dean, we'll start with you.
Sorry.
Okay, this is a long one.
Uh-oh.
Are you in favor of freezing property taxes for senior citizens like the county and school does? If so, would you make it a campaign promise to do something?
I'm not in favor of freezing taxes for a senior citizen. Because senior citizens, I do know them pay taxes, and I don't hear them complaining about it. I don't think that's gonna be the issue, and will not make it part of my campaign strategy because it's not my campaign strategy, so I don't know who wrote that. But as far as like the taxes go, I feel like everybody should pay taxes. Trust me, I know, I did have to pay them. So, whether you're young or old, they're gonna be here. And from what I understand, the lake is gonna increase the property, so is that question just so they don't have to pay taxes, or leave it for everybody else to pay it, or? I'm not in favor of freezing it. So I'm not gonna campaign that way, that's not me.
Thank you. Helen?
That made me call. But, you know, I'm a senior citizen, so you already know what I'm gonna say. Because senior citizen, the majority of us is on fixed income.
Amen.
It's not that we can't pay our taxes, we can't pay outrageous taxes. So yes, I think it should be a limit to what senior citizens have to pay. Most towns have it at a certain age. So yes, I'm in favor of it. I think so.
Okay. Russell, you want me to read it again?
Yeah, what are you doing? Thank you.
Are you in favor of freezing property taxes for senior citizens like the county and school does? If so, would you make it a campaign promise to do something?
I think in alignment with the other governmental agencies in the area, that would make sense. But I also think it's worth having a conversation about it. I think the purpose of the council that we're all talking about being members of tonight is, I could promise anything, but in this council, I'm one of 5 votes. So to promise anything in that regard is a lot of ego talking. Not one of us can make anything happen. It has to be a community action.
Okay. Keisha, you want me to read it again?
No, no. I'm not in favor of raising the taxes for the senior citizens. But as the city and the county did, the county and the school, I thought the city fell in line with that already, that we vote on every year. So I'm not for sure if that's kind of worded right. Because, you know, as far as the city not
Is it
following
correct?
through,
Is it-
because we vote on it every year. And we go in line with the city and the county with it. So, but no, I'm not in favor of raising like the taxes for the
For the
senior citizens.
Okay.
Raising, it was
I'm
freezing.
gonna say,
Yeah, the question was freezing, but
Free, oh, okay,
But-
yeah. I'm for free.
yeah, freezing taxes, yes, on senior
Yeah.
citizens, yes. I agree with that.
Okay. That it? All right. Okay, there's 2 of them here, so what would you, so who am I? I'm at Helen. Okay, Helen. What would you do to improve our city, or what would you do differently?
What would I do to improve our city, or what would I do differently? That's a good one. Off the top of my head, what would I do? Well, to improve the city, clean up, I would do a clean up. All the way around, back roads, side roads, do a cleanup. I would do a cleanup. And then I really, like Dean, which we don't have really policemen, but really, I would like to see the city, I would like to see the city to come together. You know, like how we get out here on 4th of July as citizens, everybody come out to watch fireworks, right? Sometime I would like to see, instead of just watching fireworks, why can't we make it a whole event? Barbecue, grills, just make it a whole day of enjoyment with the citizens of Ladonia. Everyone out is one, having a good time, bringing the community together, and watch and see how things grow, or how it react to the next thing. It may bring about some changes where people don't know people. If you're out and talking to people, you get to know that person, you know, because I like to talk. So I like to meet new people, so what better way than to have a community thing sometime for the city of Ladonia and bring everybody together than just fireworks, and let's clean up our town, watch it grow, clean it up, come together and see what changes we can make together.
Okay.
I think kind of a two-part answer. The first part is, I think it'll go a long way when we bring law enforcement and code enforcement back into the picture. I mean, nobody likes to be told what they need to do to improve their property. But let's face it, there are some nuisance properties in the city. They don't do anything to improve the property values, and they certainly could be injurious if kids got in there. So I think once we get a police force reestablished and some code enforcement in, that will go a long way. And I agree, I would like to see more volunteer participation in the community. But again, we've got at least a couple of opportunities a year that the chamber announces: spring cleanup, fall cleanup, the trail cleanup. And generally, it's the same 8 or 10 people, even though during the last candidates meeting, everybody said, yeah, I'd be willing to get out and volunteer. So I'd like to see the candidates here, you know, get out and volunteer a little bit more with the community and get out and pick up and clean up, and also get involved in the conversation. You know, just picking up trash is a good start. Inviting somebody to get out and pick up trash with you is even better. But we have to be willing to hear people say no. We can't enforce right, that level of volunteerism until those folks are ready to join voluntarily. So a little bit of procedural and legal help along the way for code enforcement, and then yes, I agree, developing community that likes to get out and serve together.
Deisha?
We read it again.
Yes. What would you do to improve our city, or what would you do different?
I would like to see, the houses, the dilapidated houses, trying to start with those and trying to get them fixed up by the owners and try to help them, maybe get them either livable, or if they are, or, if they need, you know, help with them being, maybe you had to say torn down or whatever, if they needed help working on them. What else, read that one more time.
What would you do to improve our city, or what would you do different?
And I'm kind of like Russell White, I can't wait to, maybe get the policemen started back up and the code enforcer come in and maybe get help with that and get it done.
Dan? What would you do to improve our city, or what would you do different?
Okay, code enforcement. that is a biggie that would go, we can, like to continue seeing our, like I say, the houses that need to be either trash cleaned up or actually torn down. We've got to have something to help us do that, and in doing so, to clean up and have the city look better for everybody and safer for everybody, mainly, is to get a code enforcement police department to help us, to deal with that. And that's, and bring the community together. And I'm going to go back to the cleanup and help the city look better. We can all get together and do that.
Okay, we'll end with you, Dean.
Well, going back to some of the previous question about the freezing the tax on senior citizens. If we look around the community, I heard people talking about the houses need to be improved, and if you improve the houses, then improve the lots and stuff like that. Now, if you don't have the money to improve them, how are you gonna improve them? If you don't have the income to put into those houses, how are you gonna improve it? So, I mean, since I've been in Ladonia, I've been hearing about these lots and fix them up for the last 20 years. It ain't happened. I've been hearing about police officer when I had them. It helps. Not knocking them. Code enforcement, how long they gonna last? They're gonna go around 1 week, put a tag on the door, 30 days later, then what's gonna happen after that? We still paying them. Now the lots are clean, right? So what we gonna do with that money that we don't have no longer have? I feel like we need to do something for the kids. Nobody's talking about the kids, what they need to do in the environment, in the community. We talk about improving the houses and improving the community, but what are the kids doing? You know, we still have kids that are growing up in this community. What's gonna keep them here? You know, we got to find something for them to do. We can put a playground somewhere. We can put some swing sets somewhere. If we get the kids out the house, then maybe the parents come out the house behind them. You know? Cause I know it's easy to sell them the couch and let them go if they go outside. They're not going outside because I have a kid. He ain't going outside. So what are we doing? He want to mow the yard. I don't even want to mow the yard. So, you know, improving the community, I think we need to get the kids involved, get something for them, something we can see grow, you know, because once the houses come going to come to Lake Europe. You don't clean it up, they going to buy it. Oh, I'm sorry. You ain't got to clean it up. They going to come buy it from you, and they going to clean it up for you. This is going to happen. I get a phone call almost every day, or a letter in the mail. Somebody want to buy your property. It's going to get so. You ain't going to have no property sitting no more. So the lots ain't clean, they'll buy it, come down here with a big tractor, big camper, put it right on it. It's gonna happen. We might well get rid of it. That's one of the changes that's gonna happen. So,
Okay.
3 minutes? I'm gonna go over, give me one more. Number one.
All right. Okay. Okay. What do you see as the biggest pro and con about the lake coming?
Oh, wow. Save the hard one for me,
Everybody different.
Well, the biggest pro, I don't know anybody who doesn't like to live or be near a body of water. I mean, I think with the aesthetic of it, I'm sorry, being distracted by audience participation. There's, I'm sorry. It's not going to do any harm to the property values in this town. I think everybody recognizes that. And in the end, that's what drives people's motivations for owning real estate, is your property value is increasing. So then when you're ready to sell that property, you get your money's worth out of it, right? Now, yes, there's a tax burden for that. The biggest con, I think, will be along those same lines. There'll be a tax burden for those properties as the property values go up. But again, we kind of go back to the topic of freezing taxes for senior citizens. I'm here to tell you, my family farmed in this part of the state, you know, going back into the 1800s, and that's how they lost all their land, was through, they had to sell pieces of their land off to pay the taxes. And I would hate to see that for members of this community who love this community because I think that's the number one reason that we should work to serve this community, is the people that love it just as much as we do. So the pros are, it's going to be a great thing for this community. It's going to do great things for this community. It's going to be a great recreational resource for this community. And we haven't even talked about the value of the water yet. I think the biggest concern that I have is the way it will squeeze folks when it comes to property values and property taxes.
Keisha, what do you see as the biggest pro and con about the lake coming?
Well, it's kind of hard to, you hope what we're told is true, that it will grow. You hear things from both sides of the fence. So at this point, you really, I myself don't know, what to believe and what not to believe. So I'm not gonna go out there and say, yes, this is a good thing just because everybody else is saying it's good. I've had dealings with both sides, so, we'll just have to wait and see. 'Cause, I hope it comes out for the better.
Okay. Dan, what do you see as the biggest pro and con about the lake coming?
Well, since I'm optimistic, I usually look at the bright side anyway. I actually haven't been on very many lakes, but I know enough to know that people love to fish, and they love to boat, and sometimes it's just nice to be able to get out and go sit by some water and do nothing but sit there and listen to the water. I think a lake is going to be a positive. I think there's nothing comes 100%, so there's going to be some drawbacks somewhere, but I don't think they'll be so damaging or negative for the community that it would be, that the positive won't offset what that is. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think we've got a lot of potential here that we haven't even tapped into yet with the lake.
Dean, what do you see as the biggest pro and con about the lake coming?
One of the pros I see about the lake coming is it's gonna look nice. It's gonna look nice. Are we gonna benefit from it? How? If they sell the lakefront to the outsiders, they ain't gonna be able to go on the property to go to the lake to fish. You ain't got no boat. You ain't gonna get in the water to fish. So it's gonna look nice. But I don't think we gonna benefit from it. I don't see it. And I'm on the outside of the property taxes. I mean, if you do sell lakefront property to someone that can afford it, if property taxes gonna go up around here, the senior citizens still gonna get their prize freeze and everybody else pay the high taxes. I see that's a con. I don't know. Like Disha said, we have to wait and see. So now we're gonna have a wait and see mentality. We gotta wait till late year, then we gonna see. So how do you prepare for something that you don't know what's gonna happen? So we still back to this step one. You can clean up the community, but this lake is still getting dug out there, and it's gonna get built. But what's gonna happen when after it's said and done? 'Cause ain't nobody telling us nothing that I know of. I'm not on the council. I came to the meeting the other day, they still like, well, we gonna get back with you, from what I heard and understood. So, I see that as a con, because we really don't know. I can say it's gonna look nice, I can say that. Because I crossed the waters of lakes and down in Lake Fort, and it look nice on Lake, that's how Ladonia gonna look. But as far as like benefiting from it, I don't see how Ladonia would benefit from it, What else? Taxes, property. So you have to sell the property. Once you sell the property to the outside, then what we gonna do to buy property? Because property done went up. So once you sell it, then now I gotta find somewhere to stay. So I can't afford to buy a house next door to me. So now I gotta hold on to it, even if it's ran down. As long as I have money to fix it up. Then if I don't fix it up, they're gonna take it from me.
Tom,
So we kind of the catch-22, right?
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I guess, as far as water is concerned, I like to look at it from a distance. Because I almost drowned when I was a kid and I ain't that fond of water. But, far as, it's okay, far as Ladonia people can benefit from it too. Now, my biggest con about this lake is getting back to children. Because kids, you have to respect water. And most kids are daredevils. And that right there has been my biggest concern, is kids slipping to the lake. Because they get in a thing, they get into something, the first thing them kids gonna wanna do is go to the lake. And that's my biggest con about it, is the children. I don't care what age they are, from 20-something on down, to me, it's children, and they still do crazy things. Now, other than that, I think it would be beautiful to have the lake. Somewhere to go walk, somewhere to go just, lay back if you like water. So I think, it would benefit that way, but I just don't hope that it causes the citizen to pay for that in some way.
Okay. We've been around.
Across the pond.
Okay, on the next question. Deisha's the starter. Okay, thank you. I had to get the right
Let me hear the
message
question
in my,
first.
in my ear here. Okay, Deisha. A little more. Okay.
Well, that's too hard.
No, it's just a lot. It's really not that hard. It's not that hard. They're just explaining themselves, which is good. Being on the city council requires a huge commitment. Much time needs to be used outside of meetings, researching items to address and handle during meetings. Are you in a position to fully commit the time needed to effectively perform a council person's duties?
Yes.
That works.
Yes, definitely.
No, I don't, I'm not gonna lie to you. I went to school, I have a master's degree, and it took a lot of time to get, so, and I had to pay for that, so I don't think you get paid for this. I participate. I got kids in school, I got activities, I work 4, 5, 6 days a week, I do my best. I depend on somebody else that ain't working, retired. To help me out.
Yeah.
Helen says yes.
I will say yes, and I'll tell you, I block time every week, not just on city council business, but to make myself aware of what's going on in the region around us and discussing some finer points with city leaders in other parts of North Texas here. And I would say if you don't have time to prepare outside of council meetings for the meeting, you shouldn't be participating.
Okay. We've been around. All right. Okay. Jan.
Yes,
Jan.
yes.
I gotta remember why I wrote the mark there. Because the decisions that are implemented today affect where this town will be in the future, how do you see Ladonia in 5, 10, and 20 years?
Well, we need to implement a lot of things that we're not, I see that we're gonna move forward, that we can, have members here at the city level to help make those decisions to make Ladonia better and move in a positive direction. There's a lot to do, oh my gosh, but we just have to unite and head in that direction to make positive things for our community happen.
Okay. Dean, how do you see Ladonia in 5, 10, and 20 years?
I see it's the flourishing time, 5, 10, 15 years. Let's just take 5 years. 5 years, I think the lake should be completed. So at that time, I feel like we should have an idea how we would benefit from the lake at that time. 10 years from now, I think a lot gonna change in 10 years. I feel like if we're gonna look at 10 years from now, I feel like everything is going to technology-wise, so, you know, we won't even have gas cars in 2 years, well, I understand we're gonna be plugging them up by that time, so we're gonna be equipped to plug in cars at that time, so I don't think we're ready for the future as far as Ladonia goes. I've always said that, and it's only because we're a small town, you know, so, once you leave here and go to the city, it's like, you know, you see the city growing, you see houses going up, you see business going up, and 3 months later, you see business going in out the door, so, so right now, we focus on the lake. We ain't got one big project, we don't even know what to do with it, so, you know, we gotta kind of stay focused in 3 to 5 year terms, or 3 to 6 month terms right now, because everything's short term, and short term gonna lead up to big terms. So we take those small steps with the police officer, code enforcers, or to clean up the community. Those are all short-term goals, which can be done in a weekend if you retire. You know, those things can be achieved, you know, if everybody come together. Let's just face it. It's easier to say it than to do it. Because we've been here and I ain't done it, you know, because I'd be like, dang, like, you work 6 days a week. Oh, yeah, I kind of do work 6 days a week. So it's kind of hard to do other activity once you come in. I'm just speaking for the ones who still work and stuff like that. And there's a previous to retire, don't get me wrong, because I'm working toward it. So I got a long way to go, so I just can't stop now and do research unless it's benefiting for me and my family. And then, you know, the community second. So you gotta have the priorities right, too. I'm just not going to throw away my family to go outside, take it from outside. You gotta start at home first. So if you do it at home, then it'll proceed and go outside the doors.
Okay.
I knew it was gonna ring, that's why I stopped.
Perfect timing.
Perfect time.
Okay, you know, the sign outside of Ladonia says small town with big ideas. So we're a small town, and we have to use, because we all have ideals about Ladonia. Everybody out there got their own idea of how they would like to see Ladonia, right? For it to work, we gotta work toward that. We gotta work toward that future for it to work. Now, people I don't want Ladonia to be like no big town, because I wanna know where I'm going. So, with that being said, it still can be big enough. People from the city all the time have lived in the city all their life. But a lot of them, when they get ready to settle down, they're looking for a small town where they can enjoy the outdoors, not with the windows locked, the doors locked. You know, you want to see God's creation, not behind a locked door. So I think in the future, if we keep striving toward that future, keep that vision in focus, Ladonia is going to be fine with growth. That's me.
Amen.
I gotta follow that. My namesake wrote me a letter just a couple of weeks after I went to church for the first time. I think I was like 10 days old, but he gave me 3 pieces of advice. He said, start with what you have, set definite goals, and trust in the Lord. And I think that last piece, I would say, pray and move your feet, right? Pray about it and get to work doing it. I think such a big piece of what's going to happen over the first 5 years is about how we get far enough ahead with the resources that we have without getting out over our skis, as they say. So understanding what value the lake brings to us as a community, understanding how we monetize the water rights that we have to the lake. If from an economic development standpoint, we can get one business here in town, and I'm not putting any constraints on what kind of business it is. Is it food processing? Is it soup canning? Is it, I don't know, what can we do? Microchip fabrication, whatever. Something that requires access to water. The revenue from the water alone could power so many of the things that we want to see happen around here, from filling potholes to putting concrete down for streets to taking care of some of these buildings, or even doing some work on those buildings that we own that we've deferred maintenance on for so many years. But I think over the short term, it's going to be challenging because it's the grassroots part of it. All the work is happening below the surface, and only when you see the trunk sprout and the fruit bloom over the next 10 or 15 years. But again, I think that comes from that revenue. But I agree 100%. The reason that we moved out here is because we love the feel of this town. We love the rural lifestyle. This reminds me of the house my grandparents lived in out by Lake Lavon. And that's what I hold on to, is that feeling. of that house that they had, that I got to visit so often, and being able to walk down to the lake and sit with my toes in the water or fish in it. I mean, that's, the vision I have is a place that people are proud to live, that people care for their property because they're proud of the community that they belong to, and that it is just a great, wonderful place to live.
Keisha? Want me to repeat it? Okay. Based on the decisions that we're implementing today, how do you see Ladonia in 5 to 10 and 20 years?
I think that, hopefully that we will grow, and I agree with Miss Helen 100% that I would like to see it grow in a way that she had described.
Okay? Okay. And Dean, where did you start with? This person says, it was a woman that wrote this. My husband and I are investing our financial future in this town. How will your participation on the city council ensure that we are choosing the right place?
First I need to find out how she financially put it into this town, because we still got potholes need to be filled, and side of roads need to be mowed, and community property need to be increased. So if they are providing financially, I mean, we take donations. I guess City Hall needs some money. We need gravel for the potholes and stuff like that. So to ensure your money gonna go into this city right now, we can't ensure, because now we still focusing on code enforcement, police officers, and houses that need to be torn down. So you see those things before you got here, and I've been here 20 years and I still see the same house leaning over, or trees growing up through it that done got bigger. You just have to see the future. Like I told Dana, my wife, is like she don't see the big picture. She can see it now, but she can't see it tomorrow. And I tell her, you can't see that? She's like, nah, I don't even want to mess with it. So if you don't see it, you're not going to mess with it. You're not going to put no time in it, no effort or research or none of that. So, you can tell me you're going to do it. But when I drive up down the street, I'm like, it ain't getting done. In 20 years, I've been here, same pothole up there on the street from her, got that cone in it, same pothole, same one downtown, got the dip in it. It's the same one, same up there, about 2 blocks down the road. When it rains, they're gonna wash away. We see it. So we know we don't have money. So I ain't on the commission, but I know we ain't got no money. So I ain't gonna hold them accountable for fixing the hole. You putting dirt in, it's gonna wash out the next day when it rains. So just do the best. We gonna do the best. Work with what we have. We'll put it like that. We work with the resources that we have. I see them working with it, and you can't get mad at them. Just try to go around the pothole and don't even complain about it no more, because it ain't gonna get fixed. Because we don't have the money to fix it, So maybe when the lake do come, I don't see we gonna benefit from it, but maybe somebody come down here and donate some gravel or something to put in the hole to help out with that financial, Okay.
Helen?
Would you
Yes.
read it again?
My husband and I are investing our financial future in this town. How will your participation on the city council ensure that we are choosing the right place?
Well, first of all, I don't know.
No.
I don't know what you mean when you say you're investing in here financial, but I do know this much. In this small,
I think that means they're planning to move here and build a house or something.
okay,
Assume that.
with that, okay, like that, well, only thing I can say to that is this. Ladonia, we don't have a big crime rate. We're not scared to walk down the streets at night. We feel pretty safe. We don't have crime rate like other towns around us. Now, we fed our share. So, but with that being said, and the other thing is, as Ladonia grow and the community grow together, that's what's gonna make you feel safe in the community. And the other thing is, I think the way the town is gonna grow, it need a company As remember, we used to have Supreme Beef, the horse plant. That brought revenue to the city that you was able to do something. But without revenue, we just stuck. So at some point, we gotta get Ladonia where something wants to come here. And if it does come, that's gonna open up jobs with other community. So,
Could you read it again? I think I've got it.
My husband and I are investing our financial future in this town. How will your participation in the on the city council ensure that we are choosing the right place?
Yeah, that's not a theoretical question for me, because my family and I actually did that just a few years ago. So again, you know, when you're participating on the city council, you have to look at it from a 50,000-foot view. It's not just about how your actions affect your household, because what affects one affects all. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. That's the nature of reality, and Martin Luther King said that a lot better than I just did. But when you understand how indirect actions affect other people or the community, it's empowering and it's a little scary too. And I always have that in the front of my mind when I'm participating on the council. So that's a very real situation for me every day.
Deisha, you want me to read it again? Okay. My husband and I are investing our financial future in this town. How will your participation on the city council ensure that we are choosing the right place?
Well, I, as a city council person, take into consideration the city as a whole, not just an individual that would come up and say, you know, will you do this for me, and I can ensure you will have this. I can tell you that Ladonia as a whole is a very, the citizens are very giving. They help each other out. If they were, you know, if they're asked, if you don't ask, you know, you don't get anything. But there at the same time, you have to, you're on the council with 5 other people, and you all have to come to a conclusion as to what's best for the city, not just one individual.
Jan, let me read it again.
Osborne? Yes.
My husband and I are investing our financial future in this town. How will your participation on the city council ensure that we are choosing the right place?
You've chosen the right place. I'll say that. I know, being on the council, you know, most of the time, I think most city council people are working towards the future and what's best for our citizens as a whole. You know, we want to see the growth, we want to see better streets, we want to see business come in, and, you know, but we're a close-knit community. We've got a great, in my opinion, we've got a good school that we've got kids that come in and help us volunteer on days to help us with feeding and fanning. I mean, we've got people here that, you know, to be involved in the community on those levels to help with any of our community projects that we've got going, get involved, come to the city council meetings, join the chamber. There's a lot of things to do here. We can all, in my opinion, keep working together to do our best to make it a better place, because it is a good place.
Okay. We've been going for about an hour. Would you guys like to take a 5-minute break?
I think we need one for a battery
I
change.
know the battery needs to be changed. And we've been-
Let's do 5 minutes.
Okay.
Go check the weather if you
Yes,
need
we
to.
can check the weather for 5 minutes here real quick. So 5 minutes. All right. Cameras on, we're ready.
I'll come back.
Welcome back. All right. We started with Dean last time, so Helen, we're starting with you. All right? All right, outside of the future lake, what are some issues facing Ladonia today that you see needs immediate attention, and how will you go about addressing them?
outside of the lake.
Yeah, so besides the lake, what things here in Ladonia do you feel like are issues that need to be faced immediately? And how will you go about addressing them?
Immediately, the things that need to be addressed that I see is the streets. I mean, they just terrible. One person told me one time that everybody's car in Ladonia was out of line. So, I don't know how I would go about addressing, being that the city don't have no money, but I do know the way we've been addressing them is not the way, because that's not working.
Russell, outside of the future lake, what are some issues facing Ladonia today that you see needs immediate attention, and how will you go about addressing them?
Yeah, I think some of it, or most of it's deferred maintenance oriented, like the streets. You know, if you take care of a problem when it's small, generally it doesn't get out of hand. But I think something that's top of my mind is every time I look at the financials, you know, we're about 3/4 depreciated on our water system equipment, which means that sooner or later that stuff is going to start to fail in a major way. It's just there's not much you can do there except for throw money at it to start replacing it. And unfortunately, we spend a lot of money now on repairing water line breaks and sewer line breaks. And as I've been told, there are some sewer line breaks that are just not reported that are out there that every once in a while you hear somebody talking about them. So there's some what we don't know issues out there as well. So I would encourage people, if you're aware of anything that's a public health hazard like that, to make sure you bring it to the city secretary's attention so we can at least look at addressing it. But there's some obvious stuff like the streets, but there's some not so obvious stuff like water system under the streets that's not easily seen, but we know that it's coming to the end of its life in the next 5 years or so.
Alicia? Let me read again. Outside of the future lake, what are some issues facing Ladonia today that you see needs immediate attention, and how will you go about addressing them?
I'm gonna say the houses, the falling down houses and the kids running in and around and getting the code enforcer in is what I'd really like to see. To help us get some of those torn down and fixed.
Jan, outside of the future lake, what are some issues facing Ladonia today that you see need immediate attention, and how will you go about addressing them?
You know, top on every time is our streets, patch on and keep patching, because when we're able to get the grants to do a street, we've done it, but that's still gonna be paying for that for quite some time. It's a lot more money than, the city can afford to do very often on anything, but unfortunately, yes, it's our streets. I'm the same way. We've got these homes that need to be torn down or fixed up or cleaned up. And because people driving through, after they hit the pothole, then they see the homes that need to be, just take pride in what we've got, and what is visual even helps to clean up our community. And to me, I think that's a big one for all of us, is to try to get that done. And so back to the code enforcement, to do that.
Dean, outside of the future lake, what are some issues facing Ladonia today that you see needs immediate attention, and how will you go about addressing them?
Okay, like I said, my name is Dean, and we've been talking about these potholes and patching holes up for 20 years. We're going to continue making that an issue. So I'm going to focus on one thing that I think everybody get irritated by. Is I was on the east side the other day, and this new stop sign we got on the Ladonia Highway, they ain't stopping now. So we talk about these potholes all we want to. They stopping at this one stop sign that we just got, and I think that should be a big focus right now. And one way I think that we can probably fix that is, like I said, you go to other small towns or other cities, and they got these flashing stop lights that run off the solar, which I'm sure we can probably afford that. Somebody can donate it that, want to financially improve our city. And I think that'll help us out, because even the stop sign coming in from the people who work on the lake, they ain't stopping at that stop sign either. So maybe we can put a visual out there, a flashing sign or something like that, because we like visual. and we see it flashing, then I think that would deter the run those stop signs, because that's something that needs to be focused on right now. And I think that's an easy fix for us, even if the city council with no money can look at getting a stop sign that runs solar. Don't cost us nothing to keep it running, flashing, 24 hours.
Thank you. Okay, Russell. What experience do you have that would make you a strong and effective city council member?
2 minutes.
Yes, 2 minutes.
Experience. Carol says I need to get a tattoo that says no, but I told her no, I'm not gonna do that. So I feel like that proves that I can say no when appropriate. I've been fortunate to have some really great leadership opportunities over the last 15 or 20 years, including board and share leadership opportunities at a large church in Dallas. That was probably one of the most challenging things I had been involved in until I was asked to come serve as the treasurer and CFO for a little food pantry in Garland called Good Samaritans. In the first meeting I was at, the bookkeeper set a balance sheet down in front of me and said, "Don't worry about this. It's like drinking from a fire hose, right? You can ask me any questions you need." And I said, "I do have one question. How is this balance sheet out of balance? That shouldn't be possible." And a week later, we discovered he had embezzled $150,000 from that organization, and it almost killed him. But a year later, I was chair of that organization. I'm happy to say today that they're flourishing and preparing to move into a new building because they're growing. So I've got some really decent experience in leading organizations through times of challenge and into times of growth. That's probably that's probably the best experience I ever had in my life, not just from serving a community, but to helping it survive and outgrow its current situation to serve that community in a better way.
Deisha? Huh? No, we're going around. We just started. Deisha, what experience do you have that would make you a strong and effective city council member?
I'm a business manager at the school, so I like to think that learning from that job also goes through to the city, learning, knowing about the budgets and how we can, move monies around that just because we said that it was for one thing, if we needed something that we could amend, a budget to change if we saw that money was needed, like for the streets versus the police department, since we don't have one right now. Being able to move money around like that. So that side of it, the budget wise, I'd like to think that my job that I have now helps with that.
Jan, what experience do you have that would make you a strong and effective city council member?
Well, besides me and my husband own our own business, I've been fortunate to be able to serve the city as mayor and on city council for years, and also serve with the chamber. And tough times require tough decisions, and we can't do everything we want to naturally, but I really enjoy working with the council, and it's tough. There are times it's almost just too tough to make some really hard decisions, but we've got to make them and move forward the best we can. And I've always, like I say, just enjoyed working with people to see what we can do for our city and make sure that we're doing the right thing with the finances here for our community.
Dean, what experience do you have that would make you a strong and effective city council member?
Currently, I drive trucks right now with a big company. So, but before I started driving trucks for the last 4 years, I was working in I was working in the community in Sherman. I I did all the training for onboard training for all the new hires. So with that being said, I mean, I do have a master's degree that I just currently received like last year, you know, so that's when you say research and stuff like that. I did my research and, you know, it takes a lot of time that's outside of coming home to just focus on other things. So being educated in that and having a business degree as well and coming out of the corporate world as well, you know, you have to work with a team in order to achieve or to take the company where they want to go. So, you know, you train 100 people a week, and you got to train that person to what the company wants them. It takes a lot of patience, teams, and, you know, knowing what you want to teach them and how to teach. Because everybody in this room is different. I can't come in here and train everybody the same way. So you got to work everybody, treat everybody differently as well. So, you know, one person cannot make a decision. You got to be a team to make that decision in order to benefit the community. So I feel like my experience coming from there into where I'm at now and to have the background that I have will not only be benefit to you guys as Ladonian, but it also be benefit to the commission as well, because you can see that sometimes you feel like it's only going one way and it's going a way that's not going to benefit the community. And I'm not saying it happens, but stuff happens. And we can sit out there and look up her all day long. You see them talking and we not involved. You got to get everybody involved. In order to see the change or growth in the community, you have to get everybody involved to where they understand. Not to where you can sit up and speak about, you know, the lake going to look like this in 10 years. Why? Some people can't see 10 years. Some people don't even have 10 years, but we only have tomorrow.
Tom?
We got to prepare today for tomorrow.
Thank you. Helen, what experience do you have that would make you a strong and effective city council?
You know, listening to everybody talk, I don't have no experience like that. But I do have common sense. I do know you can't always steal from Paul to pay Peter. And I do know when looking at something, take your time. Don't always be in a big hurry. Really look at what you're doing and try to see the big picture. That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay. So Deisha, we're going to start with you now. These are a little quicker questions. How will Ladonia make $2 signs money from our portion of the lake water?
How will it make money?
How will Ladonia make money from our portion of the lake water?
What you said is quicker. I'd have to go back and read the agreement that was made. We would have to get a pump station, have utility workers there. It would take quite a bit to have various things. You can't just name one particular thing, but you'd have to have several different entities working together in order for us to be able to profit. And it's not going to be just right off the bat. It's going to take some work.
Okay, Jan, how will Ladonia make dollars from our portion of the lake water?
We've got to bring business in that needs water. We need to be able to find a direction that we can work in, be able to let's say move that water. We may have, there's options, if we could, getting a pump station, all that. We're really looking at some major things in the future, but I do believe that if we work hard enough and look for the right way to move towards businesses or maybe working even with Upper Trinity in a different aspect maybe than what we have at this time. I think we've got a future there where we can move that water and have it where it's gonna really benefit the city, but it's gonna take some concentration and doing, research.
Okay, Dean, how will Ladonia make money from our portion of the lake water?
I don't know. If they don't know, I don't know. But if you vote for me, give me here, and I'll find out, I will let you know when I find out.
Thank you. Helen?
You know what, I don't know, but I do agree that a lot of businesses use water. So if you get a business that use water, that's one way. And the other way is when we come together and figure it out as a team.
Thank you. Russell?
I like the way you think, Helen. I think together is always a better way. And I admit that I'm just one guy with a set of experiences that are unique to me. The contract with the lake specifies that we get, it's termed 5% of the firm yield of the lake, which my understanding is that's 1.5 million gallons of water per day. So if you say that we can sell water for a penny a gallon, that's $15,000 per day of revenue. You can do a lot with $50,000 against some sort of a bond or a building project so once we figure out how to monetize our portion of it, that's just a piece of it. And we talk about how does that bring dollar signs to Ladonia. It's not just about the city of Ladonia, it's about the citizens of Ladonia, it's about the business owners of Ladonia. And that's one of the things that I also keep in mind while I'm sitting in the chair here at the council chamber is our job at the Chamber of Commerce is to represent business owners who do not have a voice in the council process because they do not live, are not residents of the city of Ladonia. So, again, for people like Steve Taylor who have a business here who generates amazing revenue and amazing tax revenue, we have to take those things into account too. So the lake's going to bring some activity, some tourism activity, some B&B activity, some Pig and Whistle is not going to mind the folks that are coming to the lake stopping for a hamburger. That generates tax revenue. So there are lots of different ways that dollar gets generated. But when it comes to the water part, the water that we get from the lake, that's all about how we monetize it.
Okay. Thank you. Dan, start with you. What is your plan to fix potholes in town? They're getting a little more direct with the questions.
Don't drive a tractor, but, no, we got, all we can do is see what our budget has for materials and get out there and fix them the best we can. I know it's never a permanent situation because you fix them all day long and within a week's time or month's time or something, we're looking at the same potholes. But right now, it's putting a Band-Aid on them and we'll just have to put Band-Aids until we get revenue into the town more than what we got. That's pretty much where we're at. At some point, once we ever get that other grant that we just did Mill Street, we'll be on that one for a long time, maybe in the far future, not near future really. More grants might be available, but we gotta figure out a way before then just to make it work until we can do something.
Dean, you got a plan to fix potholes in town?
Just patch them, put it on your agenda every day. I mean, you got a worker, I'm not calling him a worker, but you got somebody full time, so, you gotta put on, I would just have it put on the schedule, once a week, twice a week if you have to, after the rain. Has to be on, put on the billboard, fill potholes a day, just fill it. I mean, you get dirt free, you just dig it out somewhere and put it over here. It may wash out, but you get paid to do it, so I'm sure Paul don't have a problem doing it. I've seen him work long hours. So, just fixing the potholes has always been a long-term problem for Ladonia since I've been here, and it hasn't been done. So, from what I understand, it's just not the money to do it, so just patch it daily, weekly, monthly. Just put on the schedule. Like if you work or retire, when you wake up in the morning, you know what you're gonna do that day. Kind of have an idea. You might not know, but you like gotta fill potholes today. Today's Monday. Just put on the agenda.
I say we can always try grants again, maybe bigger grants, what else? And then maybe one time this guy come by and this, what you say, asphalt, whatever it is.
Asphalt.
Yes, he give me and a friend a lot of it, you know, and I'm thinking, wow. But he didn't tell me the stuff set and get hard as a brick. And I'm trying to get my hand, I never got my hand, because it got hard as a rock. So maybe we need to try something like that, putting in these potholes, instead of something that's gonna wash out.
Experience is a wonderful teacher. I didn't know that, so thank you. I think that's generally true. Experience is a wonderful teacher. And everybody's seen the street work that was done last year. I actually walked that entire street, and I know Jen was very involved in the grant for that. And then last election cycle, there were a couple of folks that were talking about that was what they were going to focus on, was getting grants. Well, it's just not, you cannot go back to that well over and over unless you want to tap out that as a resource. So you cannot rely on grants universally. And unfortunately, the only other place that money comes from for those materials is tax dollars. I think, I've got a copy of the budget here, but I didn't want to dig through it. I think we budgeted $20,000 this year and last year for road repairs, and that's not a lot of road repairs. I think anecdotally and somewhat humorously, somebody said if we had $1 million, we might be able to pave all the streets. So that's not even a known. So again, if we don't get too far out over our skis and we can generate some tax revenue and some water revenue, we'll have a lot more money. And unfortunately, that's the medium of exchange that we're dealing with right now for doing things like getting road materials and paying somebody to do that. The plan is to find them and fill them. And actually, I asked that when we buy road materials a lot, you know, which potholes are we going to fill? How much is it going to take? But in a lot of cases, it's not that level of detail. Dean is not discussed, and that's something that I seriously want to make sure we're filling the right ones every time we do it.
Keisha?
Fixing potholes. Well, I think we might see if we can get the county a little bit more involved. They seem to say that they'll help us. I do know that fixing some potholes, people take advantage of it and they think it's a speedway after that. I can tell you from our road that was fixed that people thought they'd go 50 miles an hour, and we've had to put some speed bumps through there ourselves. But anyway, I do agree that potholes do need to be fixed, and we need to check into the county to see if they might could help us a little bit more, because I understand they're getting millings off the highways that are being ground up right now. So hopefully with some of that we can mix some oil dirt with it or some hot oil to make it re-stabilize so it'll be a little bit firmer like the asphalt and all.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the rest of these are a little controversial, but we're gonna go through them anyway, okay? So, so who am I at? Dean. Dean's first name. Should council members or candidates stay current on property taxes?
Yes.
Helen? Russell?
Yes, and the narrative with that is you have access to the Fannin County CAD system. There is a record search. If you haven't looked at every candidate to see if their property taxes are paid up, I would recommend you do that. Because if somebody's going to be making a decision about how your money is spent, they should have some skin in the game.
Yep.
Keisha?
Yes.
Jan? Okay. That one was quick. I have to ask the question. I can answer this one, but I'm gonna ask it. Who am I at? I'm at Helen.
Helen?
Okay. Can someone talk with School Beta Club to help with community work? That was to you, Helen. The question is, can someone talk with School Beta Club to help with community work?
Can someone ask the school beta club to help with their,
Community work, yes.
I think so, if they want to, it would be nice to ask them.
Yep. Russell?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that they do work
Yes,
with
they
us
do.
doing food distribution at Feeding Fannin.
Yes.
We-
They've been very active with
Yeah,
Feeding Family.
I'm pretty sure that's the Chamber sent a group of them to Nashville last summer, something like that.
Yeah.
So and appreciation for all their hard work too. So.
So maybe with this one doesn't need to go around because
Well, with the Beta Club, the FFA also does it.
also does it, yes.
But the Beta Club did not go to Nashville because they were helping out the community.
No.
There's
They
more-
earned that, yes.
Yeah, they earned that. They have to,
Yeah.
starts at the local level and they go up through a series of levels to get to go to
Yes,
the
absolutely.
National and State Conventions.
Yeah. Very proud of all of them.
Very proud of them, and they're hard. I don't know what we do. I don't know what we
Yeah.
do without them on Feeding Fannin.
Yes.
This summer's gonna be interesting, but I hope they still will come out, some of the kids want to volunteer, but they are great to work with. We're very blessed to have them in our community helping out.
Okay, two left. That's good, we're gonna be done on time. How important is following Robert's rules? Russell, you'll start.
How important it is for us to recognize any rules that we agree to live by, whether it's the Constitution of the United States of America or the Constitution of the state of Texas. Robert's Rules of Order are the way that meetings of this type have been run for centuries. I think it's very important. Now, having said that, I don't think it's necessary for us to do things like refer items to committee in order to just drag things out. I think we reasonably and responsibly table items when we don't have enough information to make a good decision. But Robert's Rules of Order are the way that it should be done.
I agree.
Jan?
100%, I
Dean?
Yeah, well, I don't know what Robert Rule is, but they agree with
They're rules. Helen? Yeah, okay. And the last one. Will you always be able to answer questions without a debate with the other council members? And Deisha, that we're starting with you.
Will you always be able to?
Yes, will you be able to answer questions without a debate with the other council members? I'm just wording it verbatim, reading it verbatim.
Well, I would hope so, because I hate, I mean, you would want to argue everything. Yeah, I guess. I'm not a big arguer, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
No,
Like I said, these
I mean,
were
if
getting a
it's
little,
discussion,
late.
I
a
can
little
say
direct,
discussion,
but
one
we have
person's
time.
debate is another one's argument.
Argument, yes.
So, that gets a little,
but with respect, in regards to honor.
Yeah.
right. Mhm.
What's the question?
Dean,
Yeah.
will you always be able to answer questions without a debate with the other council members? And you work with others.
I wouldn't always agree with someone because, without debating, you can always have a disagreement without debate, depending on what the subject is at that time, you have to do, someone say, do your research on it before you even come to it. So, I would not always agree with that person if I feel like it's not the right, if it wouldn't benefit the community.
I have to agree with Dean. I'm not always debatable, But if it caused me to have a concern, then I may like to know more.
And Russell?
I don't like the word always because, I mean, nothing is absolute like that, but that's part of the process, right? We make a motion and somebody seconds that motion. And if we get a second on it, we're supposed to have debate on it. And debate can mean a discussion. It can mean that I set myself up as just the opposite to a position so that we can make sure we get all the good options on the table. If anybody was at the Lake Rob Hall meeting last week, Judge Cunningham basically said, it may seem like we're chewing on each other up here, but we're trying to have a conversation that makes sure that we get the discussion completed, right? And it never really feels like we're angry at each other, maybe once or twice, but especially when people take personal shots at each other. But really the name of the game is to make sure that when the decision is made, there aren't any questions left. And a lot of times there are decisions made where there's some pretty big questions outstanding.
Thank you. That was the last of the questions. I want to thank all of you. I would like to thank the candidates. You did a very good job of.
Can we have a round of applause for Eddie Frey also?
This group's done a great job tonight. I really appreciate all of the conversations. I wish we had more of these going on in town on a weekly basis. And for all of you, thank you for your participation and for allowing them to talk and have the say. Thank you. Thank you for coming.